Hey guys, just want to do a quick review of my the mobile cart that I kind of threw together for moving my planer around. But the design would apply to basically any sort of tool you want to put on there, whatever, however you want to move around. So I came up with the design. I looked at some other YouTube videos and I saw some pretty decent ideas. And I tried to improve on those. I also kind of looked at my rigid saw, which has what I consider really well-designed mobile base, and I kind of liked what they did. So I kind of stole one of the main keys of there, which they have kind of a camming action that basically lifts the table up and down off of the casters. So this is kind of a cheaper version of that. So my goals were, number one, I don't like having to bend over too far. My back's getting as I'm getting older tends to not appreciate that. So what I really want to be able to do is when I want to activate this, I don't want to have to be bending over, pushing levers down. I like to be in a standing position. So that was one of the keys. And again, it had to be fairly inexpensive. I didn't want to go out and buy a bunch of extra parts and that sort of thing. So this was a pretty good design, I think. When at the end, it worked out pretty well. So as you can see, right now it's in we'll call it the mobile position, so I can easily spin it around, get at it, do what I want to do, and then when I'm ready to set it in place, I just basically drop it down, and she's set. And then again, to pull it back up, activate that, and I'm mobile again. So pretty slick design. I think it works pretty well. So if you want to take a look, I'll go through some of the basics of it. Okay, so let's just go over the kind of the basic framing of this. So the top is just a piece of 3/4 inch ply that I had around, and that's, you know, basically so I can put my planer or whatever piece of equipment you want to put on top. The frame itself is just from an old Craftsman table saw I had previously, which I don't own the saw, but I still had the base laying around, so that worked out pretty slick for me to use as the key for the base. You can use basically anything. You can make your own wooden stand up for it. You don't have to use this, but that's what I had, so that's what I used. So the bottom of it, basically, I've got basically framed in with some 2x4s that I bolted onto the bottom of the metal base, and then within there I've got this camming action, which I'll kind of try to give you some better details on, because that's kind of the key. So the camming action is what will lift and lower the base up and down, so it sits on either on the casters or on this frame itself. As you drop it down, it sits. You lift it up, and then it's basically mobile again. So I'll talk a little bit on the cams, and I'll show you the casters down below. Okay, so here's the base. Basically, both sides there's a couple 2x4s with the casters mounted on each side, and then I have a couple hinges on each side. So these basically will move up and down. So these cams. So basically that cam I have, which is basically a 2x4. I put a radius on it, so that would have as it goes, the camming action that would move these. So when it's like that, and as I pull the lever down, you can see that it's moving out. So this as long as it just has to be high enough or enough travel so that your wheels extend beyond the bottom of your base, and then vice versa, when you drop it back down, these drop back in. So that's just a real quickie on how the base operates, and I'll take a little bit more detail and talk about the cams. Okay, so here's the cam. So basically it's the same on both sides. So I got an 1.5" PVC going through here. So I basically use my hole saw, drill the hole through this 2x4, which has the radius on this end, so that it gets that camming action on this plate. So there's a couple bolts in here. One bolt is just to secure the PVC so it doesn't spin, and the other one is basically for my split in here, so I can tighten this down so that I can get a good grip on this. I did add just some tape in here. It's just some electrical tape I wrapped around it to kind of give it a little. It was a little bit loose, and it just kind of helped make it a little bit more secure fitting. So as I operate my cam, you can see as I spin and turn this down, it's lifting this 2x4, which of course pushes the wheels down, which lifts the cart up off the floor, and then vice versa. As I was to drop it, this will drop in place, and now my cam would, or my cart is not mobile anymore. It's just sitting solid on the ground. I did add this little block you'll see in here, and this is just because if this isn't here, this when I drop it to the ground, the handle would drop, so it would actually fall all the way down. Again, I don't like reaching down anymore than I have to, so it just makes it a little easier on me. My floors here are pretty low, so I like to keep things up as high as I can. So that's the basic camming action, and it works pretty slick. It really makes it nice, so you can lift this thing. I've had quite a bit of weight on this. I put other tools on top of this. I would say that's probably good for 100+ pounds, and doesn't seem to be a big struggle. So the nice thing is the PVC is very inexpensive. Just simple 2x4s, a few bolts. Probably the most expensive part is you got to have the hinges and the casters. So that's the only thing I really had to buy. Of course, I got most of the other stuff I had just laying around. That's about it. Well, that wraps it up. I hope you found this video informative and useful for learning how to build a mobile base. I think the design's got a couple features that are pretty handy and work pretty well. It's very useful if you have a smaller shop like mine where you need to move equipment around a lot, because I constantly find myself dancing around with either my planers or my joiners and my table saw, and they all have a mobile cart or mobile devices on them. Most of them are the factory ones. This is a really simple design, at least for the most part, and it's pretty strong. It'll actually it's holding me. I'm well over 100 pounds, and as you can see, it moves around with no problem. So good luck in your project. Please feel free to leave me a comment or suggestions in the comment section, and I'll try to get back to you.